Good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Aaron, and this is Trio Talks. We've got some new guests today. We've got Emma and Patrick. Hey, guys, how are you?
We're good. How's it going this morning, Aaron?
Good, good, good. Emma, do you mind just quickly kind of just giving everybody just a quick introduction? You were here for the last one, but you're here on like once every third time, right? So I just want to make sure everybody kind of gets to know you, and you're probably reaching out to a lot of people right now. I want to make sure they're able to put that name to a face.
Definitely, yeah. So I am on the processing and the marketing team. So if you're a real estate agent, loan officer, you've probably talked to me quite a bit. And yeah, I'm very happy to be here and can't wait.
Yeah, and Emma's being very modest. She's also running the Facebook group that many of you are probably watching this in today, which is fantastic. And she also runs all our marketing. So as soon as you become a Trio preferred agent or a lender, you've probably received a call from Emma kind of introducing you to all the different materials that we have available to you. So yeah, so you've probably definitely talked with her quite a bit. So thanks so much for joining us today, Emma.
Yeah,
Patrick, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Can you believe we're already in the second half of the year? I mean, it's just crazy.
We're
July.
in Q3. I know, right? It's a bit crazy right now. Now, Patrick, did you have a good 4th of July? Did you do anything crazy? He's always good for a good story, right, Emma? So
always.
You know what? I kind of did a lot over the 4th of July. Went down to Arizona and got to hang with my two of my kids anyway, and then came home and then spent all Monday cleaning the garage, which was
very patriotic.
It's one of those it's one of those things that just needs to be done every so often, is cleaning your garage, and it is always a big chore. I had to go to the dump, and my wife loves going to the dump. It's like a highlight. So I know the
it does feel
station.
good to get rid of stuff. You know what I mean? It really does. Yeah. And I too also cleaned out my garage on the 4th of July weekend. So it's just, I don't know why you have that extra day. You want to hose it out. You want to get rid of stuff. So I totally get it. Emma, did you go to the dump? Did you?
I did not, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. All right.
Well, I actually moved over the weekend.
I was going to say that kind of counts.
Yeah. That's
yeah. So I went to the garage dump at my apartment complex, but pretty close.
Well, you did a lot of heavy lifting too. So there you go. So yeah. Well, it looks very nice back there. Well, today we have our second part of our series, which is how to go ahead and prepare customers for Trio. If you didn't get a chance to join us the first time, that video is on YouTube. It's also within the Trio Facebook group for Trio preferred agents and lenders. You can go back and watch it there. We're also sending it out as a link in our Trio weekly newsletter. So go back, watch that. We kind of go over all the steps, all the documentation you need, the rental history, all those different important things that you might be needing to help gather from your customer in order to get them prepared for Trio. But today we're going to talk about the tools and calculators and all those kind of fun things, those interactive things that are available on our website. And so, Emma, why don't we go first talk about our mobile app for just a second? I'm going to pull it up here on the screen. Why don't we talk our mobile app here for just a second? Yeah. Because not everybody uses it. They immediately go to our website, which is a great thing to do. But what does the mobile app do?
Yeah, so a lot of people actually don't know that we do have a mobile app, and it's definitely something we highly recommend for everybody, clients, agents, anyone. As you can see, it's available on App Store and Google Play. Patrick has it right there on his phone that he's showing us. And what's really cool about it is that we actually have our lease payment estimator tool and our home price calculator. I think we're actually going to talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, if you and your client are out shopping and you want to make sure a home fits within your pre-approval range, you could check on your app, and you could also upload documents and contracts directly from your device. So it's super easy, super convenient, and something that we recommend everybody gets.
Perfect. And it's available on iPhone as well as Android. So no excuses, right? And it's totally free, right? So, but it's just a great tool to have, especially if you're an agent or a lender. But if you're an agent, you're out shopping with folks, and you can do that nowadays in a lot of places, right? That's exciting. It's good to always have this available so that you can quickly go ahead and punch in some of these numbers to try to help the customer out in terms of any sort of questions that they might have on the fly, right? But like Emma said, we're going to go ahead and take a look at some of these things here on the website, but please know that a lot of this is available on the mobile app. So really cool, really cool. Thank you so much for that. All right, so let's go.
And convenient, as your slide said.
All right, so give me just a second here. I've got to switch on over and put on. I'm going to go ahead and if you're joining us, why don't you go ahead and join us at ThinkTrio.com. If you get a chance to go to ThinkTrio.com, obviously that is our main website, is our customer facing website, and we're just going to kind of show you where some of these tools and calculators are. As we've been adjusting the website and kind of getting it ready for its next big phase, some of these things have moved around a little bit. And so people maybe who had a bookmark before can't find it, right? So we want to make sure you can find it. We also want to make sure you know how to use it. So we're going to go ahead and start with our self-assessment tool. So this is our main page right here, right? So we scroll, it's actually on how Trio works right up here. Can you see my cursor? You can't see my cursor. I'm so sorry. It's in the second tab up top where it says how Trio works. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. There you go. Now it's clicked. It's loading right now. Scroll down. You've got the videos there. You've got the financing, the different options for the customer. But then right down here, you have your self-assessment test, right? So let me go ahead and click on that. And then here we have our self-assessment test. Well, one of you guys go ahead and talk about the self-assessment test. I want to make sure my cursor can be seen. I apologize for that. I thought it could be seen here.
Yeah, I'll jump in on this one. So first of all, this is what every customer should start with before making an application, which is a free application. And to do that is in the upper right-hand corner of the page. As you can see, it says apply in the blue button there. But this is really the starting point for every customer, and all of you agents out there and even LOs really should just do this qualifier to start with. It's really takes less than 30 seconds to flip through these steps and just make sure that it's worth the customer's time to go forward in the process. So we start with step one, as it spells out there, the base qualifications, and you have 4 simple questions talking about your FICO score, your months of rental history, your income minimum, and just documentation that you're going to have it available to support everything that you're going to talk about in terms of your savings and housing history. So provided you can, say yes to all of those things, then it'll lead you into the next step, which is determining your payment qualifications. So in step 2, we give you the ability to type in your gross monthly income. So let's just say your household income was $7,500 that you were going to that you have on a gross monthly basis. And then as far as your minimum payments, let's say you have a car payment of, would we say, $400. We have a minimum credit card payment of $100, and our installment payments of another $500. And again, this is going to be, different for every single customer in terms of what their monthly obligations are. It could be 0, it could be, well in excess of these numbers. So what that ultimately though spits out for you at the bottom there is it's giving you an estimated, and I'm going to put the emphasis on estimated, Trio monthly payment. And so in this case, you're going to see it's $22,750 a month would be your estimated monthly payment based on the gross monthly income and the obligations that you've put into this tool in terms of your qualifications. And below your payment, it shows you what the estimated home price would be based on that payment. And so at that, I believe that says, I have to really squint to see it.
$328,000.
So 328. All right, so we get past this. Now let's take it to the next step, Aaron, and let's look at some of the pricing, take this into a little more detail in terms of home price and what what your payment can really afford based on your market area.
Okay. So we're at the self-assessment tool. A lot of people are kind of asking, where are the resources? Where are these tools and calculators? So if you scroll all the way down, we've kind of hidden them down here underneath this resources. If you look 1, 2, 3, 4, the fourth level over, I'm going to go and click on the resources right there. And this is just a temporary place right now where we've kind of temporarily hidden it. Next place is the tools. They're living exactly where they used to be. So you want to go to the lease payment estimator, Patrick?
Yeah, let's start with that.
That one? Okay.
Yeah.
Click on that.
So again,
here we go.
Yeah, and this really is just a repeat of your self-assessment step 2. And so if you skip the self-assessment, you can always go into this if you know your customer meets the first 4 qualifications in step 1, then you can just jump to these tools if you're interested. So again, we restated the exact same data that we put in before, 7,500 in terms of gross income, and it calculates for us a 2,750 and a 357 or a 357 home price. So let's flip to now, Aaron, let's take a look at the more granular in terms of home price calculator.
Okay.
And this is
got the 3 of right up here. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Patrick.
Yeah. The home price calculator is probably my favorite in terms of how I prefer to use the tools here. And for this, we can put in the home price. So let's go back and put in that same price, Aaron, of that we had before. So the important thing to understand, everyone, as far as how these tools work is that, and why I like this particular one the best, is because it allows us to really hone in on the reality of your market area. And so, for instance, a home price of $357,000 in Texas is not going to be the same as far as a $357,000 house in Aaron's state, Nevada. And the reason for that are Texas has very high property taxes in comparison to Nevada, just to illustrate the differences. So our calculator is based on 1%. It defaults to a property tax of 1% of the purchase price. And 1% happens to be, for those of you that are in California, it happens to be Prop 13's base rate of 1%. So just to put some context behind that number. But we know in reality, 1% isn't necessarily going to be the case in most places. So for instance, in Texas, again, to pick on Texas a little bit, we see rates as high as 3.5%, which is really a dramatic impact on your purchasing power as far as your price estimated monthly payment estimate goes. So here we see at 1%, we've got a monthly payment on taxes of about $300. So Aaron, let's raise that to 2%, which just rounded up to 7,100. Just put it in or 7,000 is fine. So 7,000 is going to be just under 2%. But that took you from $298 monthly payment towards taxes now to $583. And the impact, as you can see on your estimated payment, is now all the way up to 3,000. I have a hard time seeing this because my screen is so small. Sorry about that. Yeah. So it takes us up to $3,000 in terms of a monthly payment, whereas before we were at, I believe, $2,750. And so, for a lot of people, that's going to be a make or break. So to bring the home price, now we're going to have to bring the home price down to adjust for based on taxes, assuming there's no homeowners association in this case, but oftentimes there are, which is going to further impact that payment. So Aaron, if you go up to the 357 number and just mark that down to 3, let's take it to 300 just for simple math, and let's see what that payment does. It goes from 3,000 down to what is that
2,300.
number? 2,300. So Again, somewhere between 300 and 350,000, 300,000 and 350,000. If you were approved for 2750, is where you're going to end up being able to afford in terms of home price. If you're going to max out the home price on your payment, if you can follow with me on that. So that's where this tool is very helpful, and that's one of the reasons that I really like this particular tool, because it sets the reality in terms of what your qualifying payment is going to be in terms of its max, and what that translates to in terms of true home price you can afford based on the variables that you have at your disposal. You know what property taxes are if you research your county mill rates. It's not, it's public information. We use those, we research those same tax rates when we apply it in our final pricing models. And then homeowners association dues, you know what those are for a given community development area. So you really need to use this tool before you go shopping, so you know what your customer really can afford in terms of home price. Now, below that is our payment to home price calculator. And basically what that does, it's just going to do a reverse. So if you plug in what your TRIO payment, estimated TRIO payment was going to be, or what you're comfortable with paying up to. So let's say you've been approved for $2,750, but you really only want to spend about $2,300 a month in terms of your monthly payment towards your housing. And then that's going to calculate for you what a home price is. But again, the caution that I have with these tools are this calculator right here it's predicated on a 1% tax rate. And so you really need to then jump back up to that other calculator. So I know these are, it may sound complicated. It's really not once you become familiar with how to use these effectively as a professional in the industry. So with that, we can skip then to the next table that we have. And this is, Aaron usually likes to say this is his favorite, and that's the comp table, the comparison table. And what this does is it just lays out for you. You can see cost of home. You can adjust the pricing. I believe it's in $50,000 intervals. So, it gives you an approximation of, showing you the comparison, but it's showing you TRIO versus if you were to qualify and enter into, your customer were to qualify for a mortgage on their own, whether it's an FHA mortgage or if they're, what it looks like in comparison to just remaining a renter if they're currently renting. And I think what you'll see if you spend any time on this particular page is you'll see the true impact that TRIO has for people in terms of homeownership financing, especially in comparison to renting. I mean, it's really a no-brainer for those that are aspiring to be homeowners. TRIO is the perfect bridge and catalyst to help people get into homeownership. And compared to an FHA mortgage, what's important in this is that we're using an FHA mortgage when we finance that house for our customers. And that mortgage may be assumable or may not be. It's entirely at the option and up to the customer. One thing the customer does have to do, though, during our program, and we provide them with a number of tools that we've talked about on trioTALKS in the past, is we're providing a lot of support to help people, get from here to getting mortgage ready and qualified for that mortgage, whether it's an assumption of the FHA loan we've put in place or it's a new loan. It could be conventional, could be VA, could be FHA. Depends on what you qualify for. Working with your loan officer, one of our loan officer teams from our master servicers will really help educate and guide you to the right product for you to use at the time you're ready. But one of the most important things that our program does offer for people is while you're in your lease, and again, I'm just kind of restating a lot of the topics we've covered in trioTALKS in the past, and that you can find, in our videos and our training and our websites, is that our home purchase assistance that we're able to, provide for our customers in our program, it just goes to prove that your monthly lease payments are going towards your ultimate purchasing of the home, and they're helping you get to reach that success level. And that's why, the success levels of our customers in terms of achieving that goal of homeownership are extraordinary. and have never been reached before in any type of lease to own or lease purchase type program historically. So Trio is proven effective, it's proven affordable, it's proven cost effective for our customers. And I can't stress that enough. I've seen it on so many occasions where people have been able to succeed tapping into the equity and the home price appreciation that's happened in the last few years, especially while they've been in their home. They're able to use that to help them with their down payment and closing costs when they purchase, if they want to, and they don't have to. So anyway, I've kind of been rambling here. When you guys want to tack anything on there in terms of what I've done or said, or maybe just didn't say, that would be helpful.
I'll just add one quick thing. We all definitely recommend you take a look at all these resources and really understand them, just to kind of make the process a little easier for you and your client as you go on through Trio, and just understanding the calculators, the home price calculator, and this comparison table that Patrick just mentioned. It's really going to make the process a lot smoother if you kind of take the time to go through it and really understand it.
Absolutely. And Patrick, just to kind of emphasize a point that you made, I think last week was, it's really good when agents or lenders are comparing apples to apples, right? A lot of times they're comparing apples to ideal apple out there, right? And what I mean by that is, right here, when you're looking at Trio first, you're looking at what the assumed interest rate is of 4.0, right? But when we're talking with lenders, they're saying, well, I can get my customer something much lower, but probably not at what their credit score is, right? And so this really kind of does compare it apples to apples really nicely in terms of that.
Yeah, and Aaron, I'll just to add to that is that look, if you can qualify your customer for an existing mortgage that's appropriate for them, then we are always all for it, since that is the goal of our customer is home ownership. So that's great. That being said, we know that there are a huge number of mortgage denials or people that are sitting in the sideline because they don't think they can qualify because their credit score is too low. They don't have down payment. They're not sure how long, what their job stability is, or if how long they want to live in a given market. It Trio's that beautiful, perfect product for them to be able to secure that home, get into that home, let the market work for them, and then have the optionality of, if life changes, as we say, and why our program was even created with the flexibilities that we have for our customers. Life changes, it doesn't lock them in. They have choices, they have options to pursue other homes, even with our program, and continue to use Trio financing. But the one thing I will say, in terms of if people, especially for the loan officers and even agents out there, for customers that are needing down payment assistance and are looking at those traditional down payment assistance programs, again, I would really encourage you to compare Trio to that. The cases that those other types of assistance financing programs have is they've got, large, higher credit overlays. So a lot of customers won't even qualify from a FICO score standpoint. And they also have income limitations, which a lot of customers make too much money to qualify for those programs. And with Trio, we'll go down to 580. We can make exceptions to go lower, case by case, but we also do not have any income requirements in terms of, with our program, you can make as much money as you can make in the market. We do have minimums. And that's important because, owning a home carries a lot of other extra costs and responsibilities that people tend to forget about. And so it is important that you have a base income, which we talk about in our program. So, just things to keep in mind when you're working. And again, the self-employment customer, you can't compare us to anybody else. The lenders have a box they have to work with. Trio's a beautiful, again, a beautiful bridge for the self-employed, the gig economy workers, all of those people that may need some time to restructure their tax returns and how they're presenting their true income for purposes of mortgage qualification. Whereas they don't have to wait to do that. They can start with Trio and then work on that stuff while they're in their home already. So So Aaron,
Absolutely.
do you want to move then in terms of,
Yeah,
let's talk
let's
about
go
our,
ahead and take a look at
yeah.
the last section, which is locations. A lot of people don't always realize that. Look at 1, 2, 3. It's your fourth tab on over, and I'm counting only because you can't see my cursor for some reason. Sorry about that, folks. You click on the locations, and it's actually one of our most popular places on our website, but not everybody. They click on it. There we go. Now I've clicked on it. But not everybody takes a look at it and knows that it actually involves more than just a pretty picture of the map here, right? So there's more than just that. Obviously, the green states is where Trio is offered right now. The blue states we will be offered in hopefully very soon, right, Patrick? So
Yeah, we're hoping
but
later this year if all goes as planned. So,
but there's other things that this offers as well, and that is down here the maximum amount of Trio financing in your area. And as you were saying earlier, Patrick, sorry, I'm trying to get these things off. There we go. You were saying earlier that different counties have different FHA limits, right?
yeah. So again, as you just pointed out, I mean, we are using an FHA loan, and so within FHA loans, you have FHA loan limits, and those loan limits are broken down by county. And every county across the country has a loan limit established. So, for instance, if we want to poke around on this map and show you some comparisons of how that lines up, if we go to Arizona to start with, and pick out Maricopa County, which is Phoenix and the metropolitan area around there, you'll see our maximum financing. And our maximum financing on this for this table is based on the FHA loan limit plus 3%. That is the maximum that Trio will finance a home at 3% over the FHA loan limit for that market area. So in Maricopa County, the unfortunate thing in Phoenix is they've had such incredible home price growth in the last 18 months. It's really been crazy, like a lot of different markets around the country. I can say the exact same, but it's also sometimes that FHA loan limit is not necessarily in sync with what market pricing is. And so, this is one of those examples is Maricopa County, where home prices have really ratcheted well above the FHA loan limit. For the most part, there's still boatloads of houses available within this price point. So you just have to keep in mind as far as what those loan limits are relative to what your customer has been approved for. Now, if we go into other places like Nashville, for example, which is one of our newest markets, if not the newest market, is Tennessee. We're really excited about that. That's Davidson County. And in Davidson County, look, we've got a maximum of over $600,000 in terms of what we can finance. And that's because the FHA loan limits in and around Nashville and Davidson County are set much higher by FHA than they are in the Phoenix metro area. And if we went to, let's say, Dallas, Texas, again, just for illustration purposes, and Dallas, Texas is Dallas County, you're going to see a max financing number that's going to be somewhere in between Nashville and Phoenix. So, we're looking at 420, roughly 425, somewhere in that neighborhood. So, again, the tool here is a great visual in terms of where Trio programs are operating currently and where our next kind of wave of adding new states is expected to be. But then, as importantly, is using this tool in terms of what county within what state to see, okay, what's the maximum financing, and then comparing that to, what your customer is, what the, calculator tools that you were just working with before, how those stack up within that market area. And I think most of you real estate professionals out there are going to have a really good feel for your local market area. I mean, you are doing CMAs and, market comps, your markets extremely well. And so, some of this isn't going to be, as far as this slide goes, maybe as important for you once you've looked at it the first time and understand it. But for others out there getting started, or for people that are relocating, this can be a really helpful tool as far as just looking in advance. It's all nice and easy and in one location for you to look at. So anyway,
And
so that's
obviously,
that.
customers
Yeah.
still need to apply, they still need to apply and qualify for a certain amount. But, Emma had a customer a couple months ago that was trying to figure out where they wanted to live. They were looking at a place in Nevada, and they were looking at a place, what was it, Texas or Colorado? Where was that, Emma?
I think it was actually California, Nevada, and Texas.
Oh, California. Oh, wow. Okay.
So it happens a lot when people are remote. You're basically able to live anywhere. So you kind of have a lot of options. So if you want to check out different areas, definitely recommend looking at this tool and seeing, because obviously a $400,000 home in California is going to be a lot different from Nevada. So it is good to keep your options open and kind of check out other counties to see how much you could qualify over there.
Absolutely. And I think that they were looking, if I remember correctly, I think it was Clark County area in Nevada, and I thought it was in the Northern California area. But I could be wrong. So I'm just picking out Sacramento here. Well, if you look, I mean, that's almost a $250,000 difference between just those two counties alone. Right. And so now the customer, like I said, still needs to qualify, but it also goes to show what you were saying earlier, Patrick, that, crossing state lines or even crossing county lines, right, will give you a lot of different, it can really matter. But also, it also matters in taxes as well, right? So there's several different things you kind of have to kind of juggle there and try to figure out what's most important for you. But Emma's absolutely right. Especially we saw this during COVID, where folks were now being allowed to be a lot more remote, right, and working from home, and where it's okay if you're not in the same city or county or even state where you used to have to drive every day for work, right? And so that might be changing right now in a lot of places, but at least for the time being, that was kind of a popular thing, right? And trying to move out of the city. And this is where this tool is extremely important for those folks to kind of take a look at where they could actually live, what's going to be affordable, what can they get for their money, right? That's what everyone wants to go ahead and take a look at.
And from a processing standpoint, the only additional document that we would grab in that scenario is just verification from your employer, just saying that it is okay for you to cross state lines. And that's the only additional item that we'll need.
That's great. That's really great. And I want to point out one more thing, Patrick, you quickly mentioned it, but for anyone out there, just because you're approved for $400,000 doesn't mean you have to buy a $400,000 home, right? That's always, hopefully that has to go without saying, but there's, like you said, some people might be more comfortable spending a certain amount, right? Because they'd want to now put that money towards saving, towards college education for their kids, whatever that might be, right?
You got it. And just remember, these tools are all, these are estimates. They're tools. They're a guide to help you get started and to, head you down the right path, if you will, as far as starting your process with us. But they're not final. So, the numbers don't become final until you have a house under contract and we actually have carried it through and understand all of the costs. And, if it's not new construction, you need an inspection, and hopefully those are clean. And, it's the same process as anything else. Trio's financing. So it's really shouldn't be any different experience than you have for, just, a straight mortgage financing. It's a similar process for you. If anything, it's easier. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Emma, Patrick, thank you so much for joining us today. Looks like you guys did an amazing job because we have no questions. So that's awesome. So folks, again, we've got lots of tools and calculators on here. We've got start with that self-assessment, then move on to the home price calculator, the lease payment estimator, the comparison table, but then also don't forget this last one that we were talking about with the map with all the different FHA loan limits in those particular counties. So, or I should say the TRIO FHA loan limits in those particular counties. Remember, we can go 3% higher than the traditional FHA loan limit. So a lot of different options for folks out there. And as Emma pointed out at the beginning of this, a lot of this can be found on that mobile app. So have that on your Android or Apple phone, and you can definitely have that on hand when you're talking with customers. So Both of you, thank you again for joining us. And thank you everyone for joining us today. We'll join here in a couple more weeks. And if there's any sort of topics that you want to go ahead and talk about, please go ahead and send them in right to marketing@thinktrio.com, or go ahead and comment in this video. We'll go ahead and take a look at those. And we're always looking for topics that you need us to go ahead and cover. All right, folks. Thank you so much. Hope you have a wonderful second half of the year.
All right. Thanks, Aaron. Thanks, Emma.
Thank you.
Talk to you later.
Bye,
Goodbye.
guys.